Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We've seen war. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities.
Turnbuckles and Stogies. Yo, what is up? What is up? Yo, happy Sunday. Another Sunday with your favorite hostess with the mostest.
My dad, I'm doing a wrestling match. I looked at her and said, hey, what part of Brooklyn you in?
We're not in Brooklyn, sir. We're in upstate New York in Dutchess County. I'm originally from Yonkers. Hung out in the farm.
I guess you guys don't know each other that well.
Oh, yo, what is up? What is up? Yo, it is I, the boss dog. We are here. Turnbuckles and Stogies pod. He's here right there. He's making coffee. So we are here. We're chilling. So what's going on, everybody? How's y'all day today? Everything's good. Joey's making coffee. So he'll be here when he gets here. You know what I mean? He's here. He's here. But he's got to finish his coffee. That's right here. Joe.
I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm here.
So he's here, the Vanilla Gorilla. So what's going on? What's everybody doing?
Let him know.
How's everybody going today? Today's another Sunday, fun day. We're chilling out, relaxing, maxing. That's what we do. Today's another Sunday, fun day. Next week, my daughter graduates from high school, going to college. So, you know, we will do our thing next week. We'll be here.
Well, that's if we don't record something in the meantime with somebody. But our guest today, if you guys didn't see, is Mr. Edward Crowe from Murder Cigars. This is a collaboration or a blend with him and Jonas that just came out recently. That's only available right now at best cigar prices. Those are my gift cards.
I see. All right. Go ahead.
I believe they're only available at best cigar prices right now, but I've heard good things about them. Looking forward to trying this, sitting down with him, talking with him, and learning how this came about. Already done.
All right.
Took care of it already.
All right.
I'm like 10 steps ahead of the game.
So we'd like to thank our sponsors, Banff Cigars. We gotta get that sticker and put it up. Banff Cigars, TPA, Aventura, NBR Radio, Northeast Streaming Network. Who else? Everybody that sponsors us, we'd like to thank everybody. So we're going to try these murder cigars. Never had them. Never did. It's our first time trying them together. So when he gets here,
just sharing out our link for everybody to watch.
we will try the cigars. We will try the cigars.
I'm looking forward to trying them.
So
I've heard people say they were great. So we'll see.
They were actually on Smoking Dram. They were on his.
No, they haven't been on there yet.
No, I thought he was.
Nope, hasn't been on there yet.
So, on that note, your coffee's ready, bud.
Hasn't been on there yet. I'll
Go
get there.
Your coffee. I can handle this. So we're gonna talk about some wrestling. We're gonna talk about some wrestling. We're gonna talk about what goes on. So, what happened on wrestling? That's the question. So we had what was it? 6-man tag team, right?
What do you mean?
No, what was it? 10-man tag team?
What, from last week?
Yeah.
Well, there was altogether it was a 24-man tag match because there was a 10 and a 14.
Right.
From AEW's event down in Mexico. They did Grand Slam Mexico.
Right.
That was the big thing they just did.
Okay.
So that went off very good. Reception was great from what I understand. A lot of the AEW stars were very excited to work there because it was their first time that they ever worked in Mexico or in Arena Mexico.
Okay.
So
sorry guys, sharing out the live.
But the show overall from top to bottom was fantastic.
Yes, I watched it.
I watched it. It was, amazing. They really showed out and showed that they can hang with all those luchadors down there in Mexico.
Right.
Mercedes Moné became the CMLL Women's Champion. That was a big one.
All right, guys, let him get his coffee because if he don't get his coffee, he's miserable.
No, I already had
your
coffee,
kid.
I already had coffee.
All right, so go get some more.
CML champ, and then you had you opened up the show with a hell of a match with that tag match. Then with the 10-man tag, then you had the 14-man tag later on in the show, which was insane. Then you had Ricochet, Leo Rush, Hologram, and I forget who else it was that you had. I forget.
Okay.
In that match was awesome. That whole card from top to bottom overall was just absolutely fantastic. MJF versus Mystico was awesome. So now that they're
so as soon as what happened? Be nice is doing a live video.
All right, so I just heard from our guest. He's gonna be at a spot soon where he's got a computer. He'll be on with us, jumping on and hanging out with us. That'll be fun. Then we'll smoke his cigars. But you had AEW, you had Dynamite, then you had SmackDown, which in I think 24 hours,
right,
as of yesterday, 24 hours, John Cena's pipe bomb promo garnered like 55 million views in 24 hours.
I'm actually gonna go on and look at that because I didn't see it. I'm gonna go on and look at it right now.
It was actually very good. It was like
Let's
a
see what it
6.5 minute
says.
promo. Well, no, we can't show that. Or we can't show that or air the video. We can't even air the sound because we don't have clearance.
Okay. I'm just watching it. That's all.
For those of you guys who haven't seen it yet, I'd suggest you go watch it. It was very interesting.
So now he's on the third rope.
There was a lot that happened with that. A lot of names were mentioned. So I'd be very curious to see what they're going to do with that now, where they go.
That's a Slim Jim table, by the way.
But they're heading into Night of Champions now in Saudi next weekend. And then you got 40-something days or something like that to All In for AEW. Collision was last night for them too. And you're starting to see names pop up again. You had Ibushi pop up last night to help Kenny Omega in his corner against Okada. Yeah, you had Okada and Kenny was going. I didn't watch Collision,
guy's
so
tired. Guy slept like a baby.
I didn't watch Collision. So clips of it. I know Ibushi showed up to have Kenny Omega's back, which isn't surprising, being that him and Kenny go back so many years. I'd be interested to see if they're going to do a tag team run with them and do a if they do a tag team run with him and Ibushi. I'm very curious now that AEW's got a partnership with CMLL. Do we see some of those guys go to MLW potentially? Because it'd be interesting to see if you see some MLW talent on AEW, AEW talent on MLW, which some of them came from there. But, you know, in due time, we're all going to see what comes out, because I think this partnership with AEW and CMLL and then WWE purchasing AAA is going to see a big spark in Mexico for national exposure on television. I think that's good for the lucha libre style of wrestling. It's good for the sport to have all these.
I'm here. Joey's been watching wrestling this whole week. I haven't watched it.
You barely watched it at all.
I said that. I haven't watched it.
I think it's going to be great exposure for everybody overall. It's going to give the American audience a chance to see what it's like seeing that style of wrestling that we don't get to see all the time. You know, I think that's gonna propel them to be able to take that to the next level, take AAA to the next level. They're interested in bringing up Mr. Iguana, Psycho Clown to the main roster for main roster runs because they're such hot merchandise sellers. They have a marketable ability, and the kids love them. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with a lot of these guys. I would like to see more pay-per-views like Worlds Collide come around. I'd like to see more chances of us seeing Lucha Libre and those AAA wrestlers on WWE programming, as well as those guys going down to Mexico and being on their programming. Los Garzas became the tag champs at Worlds Collide, so there's a strong possibility you'll see that. you know, it's there's a lot of unfinished business for a lot of these guys that were brought up in the
Right.
States to go to Mexico.
Right.
It's going to be very interesting to see
I
where
gotta
they go with
say,
a lot of this.
That match with Monet was good. So go get your coffee. I got this. We're
I
good.
get it.
I got this. We're good.
It's almost time for a commercial break anyway.
Well, it's 11:15. So let's go to commercial, and we'll see you in a few minutes. Peace. Shut up.
Love what you got, why you got it good. Always just a little misunderstood, but I never tried to change you, even when you're drunk all day. Every time you break, oh, it breaks my heart. Watching you drown yourself and fall apart. You're killing yourself, and it's killing me to have to say. Though it hurts so much, 'cause I love you. You were my best friend. You were my muse. The story with a good end. My rhythm blues. You were my soulmate. A damaged man. And I paid for it. As much as I think I can. And I thought in the end you would miss me. But I guess I wasn't stronger than the whiskey. I've heard it only hurts 'cause you love so deep, letting you go after all the cheap shots you take of me and Jameson. Your daddy don't help, no, he feeds you lies, and you're wondering why you can't sleep at night in the bed I made. Oh, I thought you were the one, 'cause you were my best friend. You were my muse. The story with a good end. My rhythm blues. You were my soulmate. A damaged man. And I paid for it. As much as I think I can. And I thought in the end you would miss me. But I guess I wasn't stronger than the whiskey. Oh, it hurts so much 'cause I love you. And you were my best friend. You were my muse. The story with a good end. My rhythm and blues. You were my soulmate. A damaged man. And I paid for it. As much as I think I can. And I thought in the end you would miss me.
Your Boston Twinkies.
When I would be never ending.
You have no room in there.
But
I just know you have no room in there.
guess I wasn't stronger than the whiskey. Oh, not stronger than the whiskey.
Oh, Yo, what is up? What is up? Yo, we are back. It's Sunday Fun Day here, and we are back with TurnbucklesnStogiespodcast. I am your host with the most, the big dog, the vanilla gorilla. He's right there somewhere. He's taking care of some business. Just put him in for there. I am eating a Boston cream Yoda. Shout out to Drake's. I'm gonna try this my first time. So we are chilling. That's what we do. So as soon as our host gets wherever he's going and he can jump on.
Our guest is coming. I already spoke to him.
I didn't say he wasn't. I said when he gets where he's going.
He's gonna text me when he's jumping on. He already said. What's up? What's up?
Really good. Really good. All right. I'm gonna smoke one of these. When he comes on, he can tell us what it is.
I was gonna say you didn't even have to pull it all the way out. You push it out from the top.
When he comes on, he could tell us what it is.
You push it up from the top and go like that.
Well, show them the box.
You don't pull all the way out.
Show them what it looks like.
I did when we opened the show.
So I'm smoking a murder.
And then you pop that up.
I lifted up there. You ever find your lighter?
Yeah, I found my lighter yesterday.
Where was it?
It was in the chair. So for Night of Champions so far, guys, you have the King of the Ring finals. Randy Orton versus either Jay or Cody.
I'm gonna go with Cody.
Then you have the Queen of the Ring, which is Asuka versus I don't know who the finalists are for that
Lynch.
one. No, she's not in the tournament.
I thought she was.
Nope. Then you have John Cena and CM Punk for the undisputed title.
This smells really good.
Then you have Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental belt. And then you have recently signed as of Friday night, Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa for the U.S. title at Night of Champions.
Jacob ain't losing the title.
Which there's going to be a lot of stuff that goes on. I wonder if that's where the Tongans return. And then their brother debuts.
That's what it is.
I'm very curious to see where they go with that angle. I mean, I know that's going to go for a little while.
Now let's talk. Let's talk about that. So I'm going to touch on more Rikishi touched on. So you only gave what's his name?
Gunther got the belt back because he's supposed to wrestle Goldberg at Saturday night's main event in Atlanta.
All right.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling them why they did that.
But what I'm touching at is this.
Go touch on what you have to touch on.
Because you just interrupted me. But
you do it to me all the time.
Needless to say, so you only gave him the belt for 51 days. Meanwhile, you wouldn't do that to John Cena because he's had the belt. And I personally, as a wrestler, I don't think John Cena even should have a title because John Cena is a little baby. He's a baby. And the dude is a baby because I say he doesn't sign autographs. If you catch him in the parking lot, he'll tell you, no. So my thing is this. So you gave 51 days to Jay. You gave Randy Orton the title. He held it for 2 years. You gave so-and-so a title. He held it for 3 years.
Randy hasn't held that title in a while.
But my point being, you give these guys titles and they hold it for 3, 4, 5 years. You give it to Jay for 51 days. That's unacceptable.
Now, can I tell you? Can I
Unacceptable.
tell you something?
So all you writers for WWE, you guys have not worked the independents. Y'all have not worked. Y'all have not even been in the business. You're just a writer. All you do is put pen to the paper.
Well, actually, Mark Calloway is now part of the writing team, so you can't say he wasn't. He wasn't.
This was before Mark Calloway.
I'm going to touch on something because it pertains to what you're saying. Jay doesn't need the belt. Jay is more over with or without the belt. He doesn't need the belt. The belt doesn't make him. He makes the belt. Where Gunther needs the belt. Jay doesn't need the belt to be as over as he is as a superstar.
And
Jay
I
doesn't
understand
need that. No, but listen, you talk now, I'm going to talk. Jay doesn't need the belt. Jay got over organically, did everything on his own, and got himself over. That's why Jay doesn't need the belt.
Has nothing to do with getting over. As Rikishi said, Jr., it has to do with that you wouldn't put a belt on Randy Orton or John Cena and let them hold it for 51 days. They'll hold it till whenever. John Cena, for example, just my opinion.
He's only had the belt since WrestleMania.
Okay, how many months is that?
Just shy of 3.
How many days is that?
Right around the same time as Jay.
No, it's not. It's 90 days.
We're not in July yet. It's not 90 days.
So why hasn't he lost the belt yet?
We're just at. He's going to lose it. Probably at Night of Champions.
It's not my question.
He hasn't lost the belt yet because they don't want him to lose the belt yet.
My point exactly.
Your point is proven.
You give it to Gunther, who has no gimmick.
Well,
because his gimmick of
he's the ring general.
The ring general just doesn't cut it. Just doesn't cut it.
Because Gunther's that old school style of wrestling. He's no bullshit, no flips, no nothing. He is what a heel is supposed to be. And that you not liking him means he's doing his job correctly.
No, it's not that I don't like him.
But
I just don't think the guy deserves a belt. I don't think he deserves a belt.
And him being a heel is him doing his job by you saying he doesn't deserve a belt because you don't like his gimmick, you don't like him, which means he's doing his job correctly.
You're right, Joe.
He's doing his job correctly, but he doesn't need the belt to go against Goldberg. The only reason they're doing that is because Goldberg is probably going to win that belt. And then he's going to relinquish it and retire. That's all that is. And if he loses, then Jay is going to get the belt from Gunther at King of the Ring.
Well, I don't know if Jay wants it back.
Of course Jay wants it back.
To his father.
I think he does want it back. I think he's going to need it. He's going to need it because the thing is now is they have to show. See,
I'm listening.
The reason I say he doesn't need it, and the reason I say he lost it is because now they want to see how he comes back after not having the belt. After not having the belt, they want to see how he rebounds. They want to see if the crowd still stays behind him. They want to see if everything still moves the way it moves and he's still as over as he was without the belt.
I think that they should have left the belt on Jay, even though he does not need it. But like Rikishi said, who's a friend of mine, would you have done that to Randy Orton? Would you have done that to John Cena? Would you have done that to Seth Rollins? No, you wouldn't. You would have let them hold the belt as long as they wanted to. That is my point, and that is Rikishi's point. Because you give it to this guy And I say this guy because I'm not a big fan of him because he's not an old school style wrestler. He's just somebody that they wanted to put a belt on, and they gave it to him. So my thing is, should have left the belt on Jay. And if you wanted to, how much time did Roman hold the belt?
4 years.
My point exactly.
There's no reason for anybody to hold the belt for 4 years, though. I'm sorry. I don't care.
understand.
There's no reason for
But
anybody to hold the belt for 4 years. I don't care.
That is my point exactly. 4 years compared to 51 days, which is less than 3 months. The guy's over. The guy knows how to work the crowd. Just saying that the writers, and it's not Mark Holloway because Mark just signed. So whoever's the writers, you're a soap opera guy. You're a soap opera guy. Keep writing soap operas. Do not write for the WWE.
Okay, but now
You should be fired. You should be fired. Whoever works for the WWE as a writer should be fired. You have not worked the independents. You weren't a manager, announcer, ring announcer, nothing. You should be fired. My point. Next. Okay, I'll keep it going. So
it's not going to matter what I say because
he's just sitting here because he doesn't. I don't know what's wrong with him.
There's nothing wrong with me because no matter what I say, you're not going to let me get my point across.
I give you the time.
Now, what I'm going to say is there's no reason, and take this how you want. I really don't care. Nobody should hold the belt for 4 fucking years. I don't really care. I don't care how over he is, how terrible he is. I don't give a shit. Nobody should hold the belt for 4 years.
I never said he should.
I don't. But again, that writing was under Vince. That wasn't under Triple H's writing. That was under Vince's writing and
Okay.
Vince's creative. No. You talk. I didn't say a word. Now it's my turn. There's no reason for anybody to hold the belt for 4 years. I don't care if creative thinks it's a good idea. No. 4 years is too fucking long. A year at max is what somebody should probably hold the belt for.
Not even a year.
Because there's no way 4 years is acceptable. I'm sorry. They did that so he broke Bruno and Hogan's record. That's all that was. Now he's going to go down as the longest reigning champion ever to live. Which is great. Fine. That's cool. I don't care. That's fine. That's a great statistic. But 4 years is way too fucking long. 4 years is way too fucking long for any single person to hold a belt. We're on the comments. You just clicked them off. Why'd you do that?
I didn't click them off.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
keep talking. I'm learning the computer. Don't worry about it. So here's my point.
And actually, the writing team, before you say anything, has Shane Helms, Nick Aldis, Adam Pearce, now Mark Calloway.
So Aldis wants the title because he's never held the title.
But Aldis also isn't signed as a wrestler. He's signed as a management
Correct.
person and a creative writer.
So the other producer, whatever you want to call him, who broke his neck or whatever, what's his name?
Who?
The other manager.
Adam Pearce?
Adam Pearce. Okay. Then you got Sugar Shane Helms. He's another one that never held the title, and he doesn't like the Samoans.
What are you talking about? He doesn't like them.
Okay.
Why doesn't he like them?
Because I know he doesn't.
He was best friends with all of them. What are you talking about?
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen,
So our guest is here. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back.
Wonder what was going on inside the man in black's mind. Was he missing June? Was he thinking back when that picture was snapped? Was he wishing he could hold her? Did he know his life was over? The day that camera flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash. The lines alive there on his face show hard living and show grace. A story told in shades of black. Was he whispering a prayer through that cold and lonesome glare? The day the camera flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
The lines alive there on his face show hard living and show grace. A story told in shades of black. Was he whispering a prayer through that cold and lonesome glare? The day the camera flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash. Wonder what was going on inside the man in black's mind. The day old Marty flashed the last picture of Johnny Cash.
what is up? What is up, yo? Your favorite podcast, Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. We're on the top 100. If you Google us, we're on the top 100. I am the host with the most, the big dog, the Vanilla Gorilla, NBR Radio. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let Joey bring him in. Go ahead, bud.
All right, hold on.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
So we are here. Our guest has joined us, Mr. Edward Crowe, creator and owner of Murder Cigars. So let's bring him on.
What's going on, big dog? Vanilla Gorilla, what's cracking?
What's up, bro? What's going on?
Yo, what is happening, you handsome devil?
Man, what's good, brother? Hey, y'all.
Hey, man, living the dream, man.
Hell yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on here.
We appreciate you coming on, bro.
Hell yeah. Hey, I see you lighting up a murder over there.
I am,
Well,
yes, sir.
You heard?
Hell yeah.
What are you lighting up? You heard?
Same thing. You know, lighting up one of the murders.
So now, let me ask you this, Ed. Let me ask you this. So, how long and what made you get into cigars? How long you been smoking and what made you get into cigars?
So I've been smoking. I was never an aficionado. obviously I'm becoming more interested now as I get into the community, meet cool people. You know what I mean? Understand how this all works.
It's a very interesting community.
That's right. That's right.
And,
I realized that when I went to the festival.
Have you also realized, like, because I know I did, and just kind of touching on what you're saying about, you know, not realizing about the community, that you smoke with people from all walks of life, from a janitor to a high-end CEO of a company, or somebody like yourself who manages artists and you know, has done so many different things that you don't realize that that's who you're sitting down to smoke with, because we're sitting like everyday guys just chopping it up and shooting the shit and smoking cigars.
Right.
So listen, I'm a poor dude. I'm a poor dude.
Guy.
I'm a poor dude. I got the same hand-me-downs from my brothers from 25 years ago.
I don't know who
I'm
he's
still
talking.
wearing the same sneakers.
I don't know what he's talking
I'm still
about.
wearing the 4-stripe Adidas. You heard?
Ain't nothing wrong with that, bro. That's classic.
Listen, 4-stripe Adidas, cause nobody knows about the 4-stripe Adidas. They think it's 3 stripes. It's really 4.
That's
Them
right.
Charlie Brown hush puppies. You heard?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hell yeah. Where y'all based out of?
I'm in New York.
Okay, cool. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm originally from Delaware.
Okay.
Yeah,
And where
Wilmington.
you at now?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, right this moment, I'm in Red Boiling Springs, Tennessee, but I'm out of Tennessee, Nashville.
All right, so
Music City, baby.
So
Yes,
let's
sir.
get back. Let's get back to.
So you said you hadn't become an aficionado until you joined the community, and what made you eventually start to want to do your own cigars, and what made you choose Jonas, so to say?
So it all started with I got someone pitched me a random idea to do a cigar for Yellow Wolf. Who you guys familiar with Yellow Wolf? He's one of my artists that I manage. So someone pitched me a cigar for him. I took it to him. Like I said, I smoke cigars. You know, I don't know all the details yet. I'm working on that. But he said, "Man, you smoke cigars, not me. Let's do a cigar for you." I explained to him that, you know, it'd be cooler if we did it for him, and he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna roll with you on this one." So then my partner Cairo, he saw the blanks, and man, he just visualized the name, the brand, the whole nine. You know what I mean? And we followed it up with that. He did the brand logo in like 30 minutes. We honed it in. We made it what it's supposed to be.
Right.
It took time to get it perfected, but yeah, he had the vision right off the bat. So it's really a combination of Cairo Wolf and Yellow Wolf, who are, you know, my two partners, and making this happen with me. You know what I mean?
And I will say the packaging on this is freaking awesome. I love the packaging.
Appreciate that, bro.
The box itself. I mean, for people who haven't seen them or picked them up, I mean,
you gotta show them what it says.
You know, like then you got the tab right there, and just like the little details.
Appreciate that, brother.
It's just the little details that that make the packaging, because it's so simple, but it's so eye-catching. If it was sitting in a humidor somewhere, or you know, somebody had it at their house and somebody was looking for something to try, and it's just sitting on a counter somewhere, it's eye-catching. And you get that with some of the companies that do boxes, but you don't, like, they're not to this extent. Gotcha. They don't have the shiny metallic like cardboard or print on it. It's a blank blank matte box with just their name, the logo, the cigars.
Right.
You guys actually put the time and thought into the presentation.
Man, big time, man. That's, you know, it took us like 2.5 years to get everything exactly how we wanted it. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, that's something that it could take so long, but it was just a quality thing. You know what I mean? Trying to hone in on the right. That's how I landed with Jonas. You know, I went through several people and I wasn't really excited about the quality, but Jonas came through, man. He came through with the right quality. And then, you know, it took me a while to even get the right people for the boxes, to your point.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
we actually had Jonas on our show.
Oh yeah,
a while back. Yeah, we interviewed Jonas.
Hell yeah.
What made you come up with the name Murder?
So my last name is Crowe. Edward Crowe's my name. So that being my last name, what they call a flock of crows essentially is a murder of crows. So a box of Edward Crowe cigars, murders, you know, that's like a group of crows. So it really has nothing to do with killing anybody. It's more about
right.
You know,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's something I didn't know.
Correct.
That that's what they call it, because you don't hear them call them that. You just hear them. You just hear, it's a lot of crows or it's a flock of crows. I've never actually heard it called, a murder,
So
which is crazy.
I've been smoking cigars for like 30 years, dog.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna tell you, not because you're on my show,
Right.
but we've had a lot of people on our show. We had
I mean, and
Jonas,
just the burn.
we
like,
had Adventura, we had Michael Giannini. But dog, I'm gonna tell you, this cigar here, player, we should enter the world championship fucking show that they got going on.
I don't want to do that. That's too much. They got a cigar smoking like world championship. I don't want to do that.
For real?
Yeah, you can't ash for 40
You can't
minutes.
ash, you can't talk for the
You
first
can't
5
talk.
minutes.
You can't relight. Like, there's so many rules. I'm like, I just want to enjoy my cigar.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's like, how slow can you smoke a cigar?
Isn't there something where the longer the ash is or something, does that tend to the quality of the cigar or something like that?
It does.
Yes. So right now,
Like, even just the burn
I've not asked you
that
yet.
people can see is, the burn is
Look at the burn.
the burn quality is another thing, because you get a lot of cigars that canoe, or they burn so infrequent,
Right.
or so uneven, and I don't know if it's the quality, if it's you just got a bad one. I usually chalk it up to you got a bad one out of the bundle or out of the batch, but I've had companies where I've had 4 or 5 cigars out of the same box or the same pack,
Right,
burn completely uneven, and it's like, is it really a bad one out of the box at that point, or like you said, is it the quality of what they're putting out?
So let me ask you this.
Now, go ahead.
Do I call you Ed or Edward?
I like Edward. I go by Edward Crowe.
All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
we're gonna call you Edward.
So,
Go ahead.
real quick, what I was going to ask was, so you said it took you 2 years to put everything together. How long did it take for the cigar? Was that a 2-year process as well? Because that's what a lot of people like to know is how long it took to get from, like you said, going through all the blenders and landing on Jonas to the final product that we're smoking now.
Right. So I started off with a couple different, one guy, and the guy ended up going out of business, and that happened. And then the next guy, the sticks ended up being one price, and then when they made it over, he wanted another price, and it was, a whole lot of back and forth, and like you said, the quality wasn't consistent, and only landed on Jonas. Took a couple rounds of samples to hone in what it is we wanted exactly. I wanted something mild, you know what I mean? Something medium that could be more of like an all-day smoke, you know what I mean? And Jonas, he just came through, man. Everything was consistent. Even the ones I didn't choose, you know what I mean, were great cigars. So I landed on Jonas. I did the box with a couple different companies. Same story. Same with the bands. Every single component of the cigar and the products I did with a handful of different people. So it cost me way more than it should have. A lot of people say, damn, you spending a bunch of money on this. But I will say that we were extremely well received, and everything that I thought, you think about the cigar industry just like any other tight-knit community, in my opinion, just from the outside looking in. But when you think about it like that, I was like, man, I don't know how they're going to receive this. We're different. We look different. Our box is different. Everything about our branding is different. We come from a different world, and everything, I tend to think on the optimistic side, but everything that I thought was going to be like a strike against us was actually a positive thing. People were complimenting the differences, the box,
and I've learned, because you'd be considered like the boutique brand as part of the boutique industry, like with Jonas, which is a smaller company that's not, Jonas has a name to him now, but like, you're not considered one of the big guys like Drew Estate, Arturo Fuente, Cohiba, guys like that. You're a smaller company, but guys like me and my dad and the guys we know that smoke all look for those new up and coming companies, and like you said, yours is different completely as far as like you don't have the bright colors on the labels, you don't have the the pop that a lot of these companies go for initially with like the very bright like reds and yellows and greens and blues, and you went for a, like you said, a laid back, toned down. You know, what you're doing is essentially letting the cigar speak for itself. You're not going with the flash out of the pan, you know, for the boxes and the bright colors, and your box is
correct.
Even with the colors it has is eye catching.
Yeah.
So
Because you did it, like you said, with a handful of different people, and they put together something that on a shelf would still stand out, even though it doesn't have that, like you see, like Fuente and a lot of those guys all do these bright colors and huge branding on the boxes, where you did a very simple, yet it stands out to a certain extent.
Right.
Because it's something that nobody's doing.
Right.
And you're letting it speak for itself.
I appreciate that, bro. That's
absolutely.
So let me ask you this. So you're in the music industry, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do your artists smoke cigars, or are you trying to get them to smoke cigars, or how's that working?
So most of these guys smoke them celebratory. You know what I mean? Like one of my artists, Huntley, he had a baby, and he requested that we smoked a murder that night. And I was like, hell yeah, because I didn't think he smoked cigars. So a lot of these guys, I would say more on that level. Like they'll smoke if there's an occasion. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's essentially how that works. And you know, most of them will do product placement and stuff like that with me because they dig the brand. The same thing. Most of these guys I work with, they wouldn't just do it as a favor. They only do it if they respect it, if they like it, if it's dope. You know what I mean? So, yeah, getting them to do it, man. I mean, you know, everybody I work with supports the brand, loves how it turns out. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it works well.
You know, and that's good that your guys that you work with won't just do it because, you know, they're friends with you. They do it because they like it and respect the brand. And not only that, you know what, that kind of holds you and your brand to a different standard.
Right.
Because you're not just having them product placement because they're your friends. They're doing it and endorsing it because, like you said, they like what it is. They like what's behind it, the stories.
Right.
And that's a lot of times what sells the cigars is the stories behind the cigars.
So now tell us the story behind Murder.
So the story behind Murder is you know, it's my last name, and it's the what you call a group of crows. And I mean, we're building a lot of stuff with the Crow brand. Like we do I have a 5150 tour photography book. I also do photography. So that's something I put out on Yellow Wolf. 5150 was a tour that he went on in 2018. And I mean, the most legendary, iconic, like gangland, hip hop, lowrider photographer, Estevan Oriol, who there's a Netflix documentary on. He actually published my book. We put out like blotter art every year on April 19th. We have Crow merch. So it's really turning into a brand for me as a manager, as an executive. You know what I mean? And the cigars, they're just on brand, they're on point. So it's kind of inspired me to work toward becoming an aficionado, you know, understanding these properly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've always smoked cigars, but I never taken it upon myself to become completely educated. And now I think is the right time for that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, on the back of the box it says there's cinnamon. You can taste the cinnamon on a cigar.
Yeah.
Whether you smoke it dry, and I say smoke it dry when you take your first pull,
right,
before you light it, you can taste the cinnamon.
Hell yeah.
And I noticed it's got like a slight little spice on the retro hail.
Yes.
Okay. Hell yeah.
And it's got like. And it could be because I'm drinking coffee is what brings out some of the notes.
Mm-hmm.
But like I notice it's got like an espresso, like a light espresso, or like a light coffee note.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
But it pairs well with the spice on the retro and on the back end, and then like it says, that lingering taste of cinnamon.
Right. No, exactly. Something else it pairs well with, and I'm sure a lot of cigars do, but this specifically with a nice red wine. Like this thing pairs well with that, ironically. You know what I mean? But I still haven't asked mine yet. We're in good shape.
So we're good.
Yeah.
No, listen, and you guys caught my eye through the videos that I had seen from the smoking those that you did with. It might have been the thing in PA. I'm not sure when you did the video with Yellow Wolf.
Yep, that was before we were on tour, and that was that was right before I went to Smoking Those, and we're going back on tour for another leg in like 3 weeks or something like that. But yeah, that was that's dope. So that's what caught your eye?
Yeah, I seen that because I think they had reposted it or Jonas had reposted. Somebody somewhere it had gotten posted, and then it caught my eye, and I was like, oh, I'm like, that's an interesting thing.
Hell yeah.
And then I'd seen the label, and I'm like, okay. And then people had told me that you were there, and I'm like, huh. And then that's kind of when I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe I should, reach out and see if we can, get you on and have you kind of talk about it. And the price point, too, for people who don't realize, the price point for your 4-pack is not bad at all. Like, it's not overly priced.
$50, $60?
It's not overly expensive. It's affordable. And for the cigar alone, I mean, it's worth it.
What is it, like $50?
It was $30. $30 for the 4-pack in best cigar prices. Is that the only place that's selling it right now?
Right.
At this moment it is. And what I'm doing is I'm working on getting we let these age for a year. So I'm working on, we placed a new order. I'm waiting on more to come in. This thing went better than I expected it to. As I mentioned earlier, I didn't know how the breaking into the community would be. Everyone was extremely welcoming, and it's really been incredible. But basically we're waiting on the next order because they went quicker than we thought. Everything's smoother than we thought. They turned out better than we expected. Everything is incredible. So I've got a couple of physical places who are going to take it as soon as we get the next order. One of those I'll mention now is the Red Phone Booth in Nashville, Tennessee.
I've heard of them before.
Yeah, Red Phone Booth.
Have you tried to get into Toro Cigar Company?
No, sir, I haven't. I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with Toro Cigar Company, but I'm not. Tell me more about that if you don't mind.
They're online. They do
I think they have a physical shop.
Yes.
I don't know.
No, I don't think they have a physical shop.
They're an online retailer. I think they're based out of
Virginia? They're based out of Virginia.
Okay.
And they take care of boutique cigars. So now here's another thing. So TPA is Tobacco Products Association. What happened was when
this is delicious.
What the hell is the company, Joe? When they were going.
So when they were supposed to go to New Orleans, the PCA, you couldn't smoke inside. So a friend of ours, who's a sponsor of our show,
BAMF Cigars,
him, another boutique cigar company, and a few other people started an organization called the TPA, which is directly for the boutique cigar companies.
Right.
And what it does is if you sign up as a manufacturer, brand owner, whatever, and you get brought in, there's a list that you get sent. And it's for the consumers to be able to connect with brand owners like yourself, factory owners, store owners, and stuff like that, to be able to broaden your audiences or broaden your reach of where your cigars are carried.
That's incredible. And what is the name of the site?
It's called TPA.rocks. If you want, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Perfect.
And then I think it's like for a manufacturer or a brand owner, I think it might be $50 or $100 for the year.
Can't beat that.
And then you get sent a list, and it'll have like all the media on there.
Right.
That if you want to do, podcasts or whatever, you can go to those guys, and it connects you to them.
Oh, wow.
And then it'll connect the consumers to you to where they can reach out through email or whatever to try to get your cigars in shops they go to or stuff like that. And then shop owners to be able to try your stuff and maybe potentially carry them. It's a crazy outlet that they started, but it's such an outlet that was needed to be able to connect consumers with media and with manufacturers and brand owners and shop owners, because now, you know, they may go to a shop and they either have heard of you through the TPA or through this interview, and now they go, "Oh wow, I heard about his cigars."
Dude,
or
that's incredible. I appreciate you putting me up on that. That's
absolutely,
yeah.
Listen, we joined, and it's a great thing as far as I've seen so far. There, you know, they work on stuff as a group. Like they bring stuff as a group to everybody. Like, hey, we're gonna put this event together. You know, this is what it's gonna take for you to come. You know, for you to be part of it as media, whatever. And they bring it collectively to everybody.
So what Ish has his own cigar lounge.
Yes.
He just opened it up. It's like an hour from his house.
Oh,
so
sick.
It's in a gated community. It's on a golf course
in Florida.
In Florida. So the thing is, he's not bringing in any big names. If you join TPA, he will bring your cigars in there and sell them.
Or I forget how that. But
he's not. Yeah. He's not bringing any. Like he's not
bringing in.
Fuente,
I believe cigars he makes for people, as well as some of the TPA members who own their own brand.
But bro, I'm gonna tell you right now. Shout out to Murder.
So
not because he's on the show. Right here.
So have you considered, now that they, like you said, they were so well received, as far as, you know, being, like you said, brought out into the community and you were well received, have you considered potentially doing, you know, like not just obviously not just the 4-pack boxes, but like an actual like 20 count box? Have you considered that now? Have you touched base with Jonas on that and tried to see if there's a possibility?
So that's the next move. So next, exactly what you said, we're going, but again, I'm working on making sure the box, you know, the box is proper. You know what I mean? Even the wooden box, I want to make sure it feels authentic. It feels, you know what I mean? It's raw. The branding is on point. So we're actually in the process of working on that right now. It'll probably be a 20-pack box.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're in the process of doing that right now. That's actually the next move. I'm going to do a couple more of these, you know, still keep these boxes, the 4-packs.
Yeah.
But the next evolution is moving on to the 20 box for sure.
No, and you know, in my opinion, that, like you said, that's a great next move to do, and to keep these 4-pack boxes, because, you know, it's an easier way for some shops to potentially carry your stuff,
right,
and see how it sells, because they don't have to, depending on where they are, they don't have to charge a lot of money for the actual cigar itself.
Right.
So how many shops are you in?
Right now, I'm in 0. I have a couple interested, but so I'm waiting on the next order. That's I would have placed a bigger order if I knew, but I'll tell you what's crazy is it's most important to me to be, I mean, I know about different subcultures with music, with everything else, art, music, these different things. It's important to be accepted by the community to a large extent, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that fans would receive this very well. They were waiting, they were asking every time we would see them at shows. People would ask and meet and greets. So that part we had covered. I wasn't worried about that at all. I'm very thankful that the community is embracing it, likes the smoke, likes the brand, and understands where we're taking it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm loving this so far, and you know, it's this
is really good, bro. And not
I think
because it's show, because
I think because it's different. It's something you don't see.
We let them sit when we got them.
When I texted you the day I got them, I put them right in the humidor that day. I let them sit because when they got shipped, there was no Bovita pack in them.
Oh shit! Okay,
so that's what you got to do.
Which again,
make sure.
Which again, there may be in there. It may have just fell out because
you have
of
to
whatever.
Make sure, you have to make sure you tell your shippers.
Yeah,
when they ship them, put a Bovita pack in there.
Which is
and
odd
if
for.
You hook up with Bovita.
Yeah.
If you hook up with Bovita, they will send you free stuff.
Which is odd though for best cigar prices, because they normally put them in there. So I'm wondering if maybe it just fell out when they went to put it in the box, which is a possibility.
Might happen too, because when they gave me when I had to pack them, they had the Bovita packs in there too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It probably fell out in putting it in the box. But I mean, they were fine when they got here. I checked them; they were
Hell
fine.
yeah.
They were.
That's important to me too. That's one of the things that, like, coming into this, I was like, oh shit, I got to make sure these things stay fresh. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, so that's very, very important to me. You know what I mean? We just got a little humidor to make sure that the ones that we keep to give away for promo and stuff stay fresh.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, and that's a big thing, and the fact that you have already kind of figured that out from the beginning for you is a big plus, because you've already figured out these need to stay fresh, because they're going to go from, you know, maybe Pennsylvania to California to Washington to, you know, Texas, wherever, and you want them to be fresh the entire time
100%.
until they get to that person's house.
Right.
Now, I put them in the humidor. I let them sit, but they, like I said, they were fine from the beginning when I got them.
Right.
Which I had a feeling, because it wasn't cold up here. It was hot.
Right.
So I wasn't too worried about that as far as the weather goes. Because believe it or not, and a lot of people not that they don't get it, but some people it drives them insane. They're like, how do you smoke it when you get it? I said, if they're either shipped in hot weather and they stay in hot weather the entire time, then they're properly humidified that you can open them up and smoke them right out of the pack.
Okay, so it's essentially safer in the summertime.
It can be, yeah. Now, if it's going from, you know, 75-degree weather to 90-degree weather, you could probably still do it.
Right.
What I usually do is, if I'm sitting outside and it's hot, if I'm going to smoke 2 cigars, sometimes I'll either leave them in the humidor or I'll pull them out and just let them sit on the table, just to kind of get acclimated to what's outside.
Absolutely.
So
Just
that
like
when I smoke them,
yeah,
it's not a sponge and it's not, you know, super hard. It's kind of like right where you want it to be to smoke.
right.
And I mean, this one I took right out of the humidor. I took it right out. It smokes fine. Everybody sees it. You get some of them that are moist, but again, that goes back to, like
That's
you
what
said,
she said, they're
you
moist.
let them sit for a year before you put them out on the market.
So on that note, guys, we got to take a quick commercial break.
And we'll be right back.
And we'll be right back.
Where is it at? Play that.
Souls cast a shadow when they leave the host body. I
Yo, what is up? What is up? Yo, you are back. Happy Sunday, fun day. I am your host of Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod with the big dog, the Vanilla Gorilla, and my man Edward Crowe of Murder Cigars.
Murder, baby. Hey, how about what'd you say with the World Championship? How long does the ass gotta go?
Oh, they have like a ring that you have to go up to.
Oh shit! I got you.
Yeah, they have like a spot you got to go up to. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Right up to the band almost.
Yeah, there we go.
If you burn the band,
no, if you can't go, it's what's crazy is like you have to ash up to that point, but if you go over it, you lose.
Straight up.
Swear to God, that's what the rules say.
That's crazy.
I said, so then what's the point of even doing it?
Right. So it's got to make it right to that point.
You might make one puff too many, and you just spent all that time doing nothing.
Right. Yeah,
so now the cigar, do you know what the wrapper is or the binder and the filler or anything like that of this?
So some of the stuff, obviously, trade secrets, they like to keep it on the low or whatever.
Right.
But the wrapper, it's from Ecuador, and the tobacco is from the Dominican.
Okay.
So that we do disclose, but
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because I was wondering if it was like a Habano or Maduro. That's why
it is a Maduro. It is a Maduro. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was my favorite one. I was going for a dark cigar. I was going for the darkest cigar, but also it's important that it's a good cigar, not just a dark cigar, obviously. You know what I mean? So we found the best of both worlds. Branding wise, we wanted something dark. So this Maduro worked out great.
So how did you come up with the name Murder?
He told us.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, like 3 times.
That was just my name, Edward Crowe, and then the flock of crows is a murder. You know
so
that
now
too. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of a crow trial?
No. No.
So crows apparently get together, and I guess I don't know the reason or whatever, but they're interesting animals. But they put one crow essentially on what they call a crow trial, and he's got to do some kind of demonstration, some kind of dance. And if he doesn't meet their standards, they kill him. And I believe that might have something to do with where the term murder came from.
I never even knew that.
What? I never knew that.
That's crazy.
Too, like out here in the land, like you can go out and if you leave
bandit, what up?
If you leave shiny objects and you wear the same clothes every single time you do this and come at the same time, you can get crows to come down and they'll leave you shiny objects, coins, buttons, soda top. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. I never even knew that.
Yeah.
So now this is obviously a Toro size, a 6x52, right?
Yes, sir.
So now, are you eventually going to consider other sizes, or are you just going to kind of stay with that Toro size realm?
Absolutely. Once we get, like I said, when I first started this, I didn't know how well it would be received by the community. Right. Is very important, right? As we've discussed. And it's like, I kind of wanted to tread lightly until I knew how that was going to go. Now that it went so well, it's so well received, we kind of got a better idea of how other brands do stuff, launch exclusive, cigar packs and different rollouts. We're gonna definitely delve into that space of other sizes, other flavors.
I was just gonna say like other wrappers, other sizes, stuff like that, because there's a couple companies that we've dealt with over the years that, like they'll have a Toro size in 2 different wrappers, and that's all they want. Like when people like, yo, like we're tired of smoking the same thing. We've been smoking it for 2 years now, or 3 years, however long it's been. We want something different, or we want that. No, we're not doing that. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. It's like, then after a while, it's like your sales drop off. Right. And I'm not saying it's going to happen with you. It's just this specific company. Their sales dropped off, and then it's like, now what do you do?
Right.
You do what your consumers ask for, and now you bring them something else.
Right.
And that's the I feel the key to keeping yourself relevant and always looking for what the consumer's looking at.
100%. And the main thing that we want to do with Murder is maintain like a top shelf quality. You know what I mean? A
Exactly.
boutique thing, something that's available in the highest caliber cigar lounges. That's my goal with Murder, is to keep it something like, top tier. You know what I mean? Introducing it at the price it is now. As we grow, as the boxes become, more intricate and we grow,
Yeah.
it will evolve. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. It's that's the thing, is it's always going to evolve, and like your pricing for the actual the cardboard box might stay the same, but
Right.
like you said, when you get to that 20 count box,
Right.
now your price is going to go up because it's going to change. Instead of, let's just say, $12 a cigar, now it might be $15 a cigar,
Right.
because of the fact you have the box, the bands, and everything else that goes into that.
Right. 100%.
That makes the price go up, and that's sometimes what a lot of consumers and retailers don't understand is, the reason that these prices go up is because of the boxes and the bands, and it takes a lot longer to produce the boxes than it does for something like you have now.
Right. Exactly. And that's something that with the wooden boxes, I know you guys are probably way more familiar than I am, but you know how they have different kinds. Like you said, some of them nowadays are brighter and more, they look more different. I want to find a medium space in between traditional, like, the old, like, I would say pine, look like they've just been hammered together, like nothing too crazy, with like the wood burnt stuff, but but gold and red and some blood, you know what I mean? Like, like authentic, raw, traditional, but also with the new twist. You know what I mean?
Want to keep it the way it traditionally was, but like you said, add your own color and your own flavor and everything to the box without keeping it, over the top.
Exactly. And I'm a big fan of, I read a lot of books, a lot of antique books. And I'm a big fan of, like with some of the books I'm working on right now, writing, everything I'm doing is kind of goes back to how they did things really in the 1800s, like with the books, you know what I mean? With the cigar stuff, I just want to keep it traditional, but put an evolutionary spin on it, make it dope.
Right. And I think that,
tradition.
I think that is kind of, I don't know, I guess sometimes, and I only say this because I've started the process of we've started the process a few times of making our own cigars.
Right.
So I've kind of spoke to different people, and I feel like you said that traditional thing is sometimes a lost art. Like, it's always, and again, I get it, because you got to have shelf presence, you got to stand out.
Right.
So I get that. And I'm not knocking the bright colors, because I mean, listen, we've all been in cigar lounges. The bright colors are what catches your eye.
Right. Correct.
And that's what you want, is shelf presence. But with a box like you're talking about, it's going to stand out because it's different.
Right.
Even if you put like this whole logo on the band inside the lid of the box, and you keep the outside the traditional, it's still going to stand out because of what's in the top of the box.
Exactly.
It's going to stand out that way, rather than have, like you said, spend the extra money on doing the outside right, and making it all kinds of crazy and intricate designs that you as a brand owner, manufacturer, so to say, without having the factory, as a brand owner, that's going to make your price go up.
Right. Exactly. And I mean, to your point, like the bright boxes, I think they're dope. It's just brand specific. You know what I mean? For my brand, it's going to be different. But like, for instance, like the Crow box, Blackbird, Jonas, and that stuff is fly. It looks great.
Right.
It's on brand. You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, for certain brands, the bright colors don't fit.
So
where, like you said, you're keeping things traditional, that the traditional vibe fits your brand. The bright colors for Jonas' brand, like you said, fits the stuff he's doing, because his logo is very bright to begin with.
Right.
So it's got to be how you want to establish your brand from the beginning.
100%. And I got to shout out Laura with Best Cigar Prices, man. She linked me with Jonas, like and it couldn't have been a more powerful, like in the music world we call it A&R play. Like, you know, Jonas, Blackbird Cigars, The Crow, and then Murder with Edward. It's like
Absolutely, no,
it'd be a better fit.
It fits 100%.
Yeah,
it fits. And somebody asked me today when I told them I was having you on. They were like, you know, is it like his Crow cigar? I said no. I said it's completely different. I said because I said Jonas and him did it together. I said,
Right.
but it's his brand. It's not Jonas's brand.
right.
I said it was blended with Jonas, but it was made. But he had his hands in making it with Jonas for his brand.
Right.
So now, let me ask you this:
Mhm.
what is your next cigar coming out?
You know, we haven't got that far yet. I'm going to work on that next. First, most important to me is getting these big 20 boxes in first. You know what I mean? And taking this one to the next level, making sure I properly evolve and know the process. And then after I do that, then we'll go into testing, you know, different flavors and
Right.
and go.
Well, I
from
mean, if you need taste testers, we're here.
there. I got you. Shit, I'm excited. I'm glad to link with y'all, man.
Yeah, man, we happy to have you. Listen, I appreciate you, you know, taking the time to sit down with us and you know, go back and forth, because we've been going back and forth for a little while now about the dates and the cigars themselves, just talking.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and that's what I tell people sometimes, man. It's not even, you know, because people ask us all the time, you know, how do you talk to all these brand owners or, you know, guys like yourself who are starting up? I said, I talk to them like they're an everyday person.
Right. Right.
I said just a yo, hey, what's good? What's going on? How you doing? You know, I really like the cigar, or, you know, hey, you know, let's have you back on when your new one comes out, whatever.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and Jonas was easy because I reached out to Jonas. I smoked Jonas's cigars before. I've spoke to Jonas on Instagram.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, like, I want to have you on. He's like, yeah, no problem. Let's do it. Like, it was an easy
Right, and he came on.
process.
Hell yeah.
You know, because we already had that established back and forth relationship of talking and you know, me smoking his stuff and kind of going back and forth that way. And then, you know, even with Henderson from Aventura Cigars,
Right.
I smoked his stuff for a long time. And I was in Jersey when he was out there for a weekend before his new cigar came out, the Chancellor,
Right.
that he released, I think last year or this year at PCA, I forget. And I had went to the shop he was going to, and I left. I went back up the road because I was gonna go back. I don't live far from Jersey, but like we were just spending the weekend out there, so we got a hotel room somewhere, like just to hang out, to be able to not have to drive an hour home, an hour back, an hour home, an hour back to go meet up with all these people. We're like, yo, we're here. You know, anybody who wanted to hang out with us, listen, here's our hotel. Come hang out with us. Like, we'll sit in the parking lot and smoke. It is what it is.
Right. Right.
So Henderson had hit me up and was like, yo, where are you? I said, bro, I'm here. He goes, well, I got something for you. Can you come back? So I went back and I met Henderson, and we both got his new Chancellor cigar that he put out. The one before the Blue Eye Jack.
Hell yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's that relationship that you have established with these people is, you know, you just talk to them. Just say hello. It's not that hard.
All the way.
And I learned that too growing up, you know, my dad being a wrestler.
Oh,
you know, I learned that over the years as a kid growing up. It's like they're regular people.
Right.
You know, just say hi to them. And then I dipped my foot in the industry, like when it became to commentating and stuff like that, and now doing the same thing in the ring. It's like, you know, people like, oh, what do you do when fans come up to you? I said, they say hello. I say, hey, how are you? You want to take a picture, whatever, and we go about our business.
So you wrestle too?
I do now, yeah.
That's dope. That's dope.
So the name Vanilla Gorilla is my ring name.
That's crazy. That's it. I shot a cover for an artist named Riff Raff, and the album was
yeah,
Vanilla Gorilla. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny because his, like, all of his nicknames, like the Neon Icon, Versace Python, all that. When I did that name, I was laughing because I'm thinking in my head, and I go back to him because he's got all these crazy ass names: Peach Panther, Neon Icon, Versace. I mean, like, all kinds of names. And I was going through the house one day, and when I walk, sometimes I have a heavy foot. So as a joke, my mom turned around and was like, all right, relax, Harambe Jr. Talking about the gorilla that died.
Oh, shit.
And then that's when I went back to him and I'm like, and I said it before I think it was before my first show in Jersey when I debuted a couple years ago. And then I had said it in front of another friend of mine, and he was like, dude, he was like, that's it. Just run with it. Don't change it. Just run. I had a really long name when I started my first match, and then I shortened it right before we went through the curtain, and it stuck.
That's a dope wrestling name, Vanilla Gorilla. That's crazy.
It stuck, man, and it was like I've ran with it since. Like when I see certain people, I don't even have a real name no more.
That's dope. That's
my name that people call me now. Like, yo, it's Vanilla Gorilla. That's how I get introduced now. I'm like, hey, how are you? How you doing? I'm like, that's me. I'm like, I'm just chilling.
That's dope. That's dope. That's how you know it's working.
Absolutely.
So listen, bro, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me, brother.
And listen, we want you back on again.
Absolutely.
This fucking cigar is dope.
Yeah, this is delicious, bro.
Thank you.
It really is. It's like you said, it was done right.
So, Edward, thanks for coming on, dog.
Yes, sir.
And when you got your next cigar,
I appreciate you taking the time out to come on.
Come back on.
And I will also, I'll send you that link, and maybe I'm definitely gonna pick up another 4-pack. That's a no-brainer.
Well, I appreciate you guys' support, man, in both ways. One, getting the cigars, and two, having me on, man. I really appreciate y'all, and it was a great conversation.
Absolutely. And if I ever have the chance to make it out to see you in person, I definitely will, for sure.
Well, if we're ever in town, man, let me know. You guys come out, I'll put you on and come hang.
For sure. I'll let you know for sure. I'll keep an eye out.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all. I appreciate you guys.
All right, my brother. Thank you.
All right, talk soon.
And that's a wrap.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Edward Crowe.
That was our interview with Edward Crowe, owner of Murder Cigars, blended by him and Jonas himself, made in Jonas's factory in DR.
Yes.
Now, real quick as we're wrapping up, great interview, very knowledgeable guy, still learning the business like he said, but as far as the cigar goes, for a new cigar on the market, I can see why it was well received. Because as a full body smoker myself, I enjoy it from start to finish.
Yes.
Like I could smoke this one, and I'm not even joking, and this says a lot coming from me. I could turn around and light up another one right behind it very easily. Am I wrong?
Nope.
I'm not wrong, right? This is one of those cigars that you could smoke 2 or 3 in a day and be very well satisfied. And again, I'm not saying you have to, but if you haven't got yours, man, listen, go get yours for sure, man. It's so worth it, especially for the price. The cigar speaks for itself. I mean, really, the packaging, this would go good in anybody's humidor for display. If I had a humidor to display it, I'd buy a rack of them and just leave them sitting there, just display. So on that note, guys, it's been another fun episode. We will see you all maybe next week.
Maybe next week.
If we don't record something in the meantime. So
Vanilla Gorilla.
No, I'm the Vanilla Gorilla.
The Vanilla Gorilla. The Big Dog. Turnbuckles and Stogies Pod. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us, giving our veterans a voice.